Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Hope that you all have had a great day. I know I have had a long day. Really glad to be here with you all this evening. For all of my viewers who will be catching the broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with the Angela Ray Show. For all of my live viewers, thank you so much for tuning in live and being a part of the conversation. We are in the midst of Divine Nine Week. Last week, we interviewed the sorority members of the Divine Nine, and this week it is all about the men. Last night, we started off with a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and tonight we move on to the Omegas. For those of you who may not be familiar with the term Divine Nine, it is a term referring to the 9 organizations that are part of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. They include Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Omega Psi Phi, Kappa Alpha Psi, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, and of course, the IOTAs. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. For my live viewers, whenever you get on the broadcast, I want you to do me a favor. Tomorrow is National Chicken Wing Day. Yes, I did not know that the chicken wings had their own day, but they do. So when you get onto the broadcast, go ahead and type into the comments your very favorite flavor of chicken wing. I think mine is just the classic hot wing. Tonight, I made some Asian inspired wings. And as I was detailing everything that I did to make my sauce on my Insta stories, I realized I forgot one very important ingredient. But yes, when you get into those comments, make sure you go ahead and share your favorite flavor of chicken wing. And guess what? I would encourage you to go out if you like chicken wings. I know everyone doesn't like chicken, but if you are a chicken wing lover, go out and do some searches because there are a number of restaurants tomorrow that will be having specials in honor of that day. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our Ray of Motivation moment. And so for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I want to remind you that you network to get work. You network to get work. And I'm using work to cover a number of things. But networking, I think oftentimes people misunderstand it. I know I have been to a number of after work events, 5 p.m. to about 7 p.m. Their chicken wings, their meatballs, their beverages, and people are just busy working the room, passing out their business cards. And that is not networking. Oftentimes, when I've left events like that, I've looked at business cards and I have no idea who the person was because they didn't even have a conversation with me. Or better yet, they offered me their business card when I didn't even ask for it, which I think is quite rude. But networking is all about how you meet and all about how you greet the people that you come in contact with. And so, with that being said, you don't even have to be at what traditionally may be called a networking function. You can network anywhere, everywhere from the grocery store to the gas station. Now, to be honest, in these times that we are living in the pandemic, you may not be as comfortable talking to someone for a long, prolonged period of time in person, up close, someone that you don't know that well. And so I totally get that. You can also do the networking online because I've definitely done that as well. I've been introduced to people based on having a common denominator via Facebook groups as well as Instagram, and then business transpired, or even just community. Again, I mentioned using work as a statement to encompass a lot of things, but it's not all about, okay, let me network so I can get a better job. Let me network so I can make more money. But it is really about relationship building, because the last thing you want to do, no matter how well you spoke with someone when you first met them, is to wait 2, 3, 6 months before following up, before checking in, before finding out how you might be of service to them, and then asking for something. It feels icky. And having your hand out without giving a handout doesn't make sense at all. So, for our Ray of Motivation moment tonight, remember, you want to network to get work. All right. So, I just mentioned tonight that I'm very excited to have a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated as my special guest. He is a native of Florida. He is a former college and professional athlete. And at one time, he found himself living out of a car that he paid a few $100s for, but hustled, worked hard, and moved on over to entertainment, where he landed a role on All My Children. And the rest, as they say, is history. Please help me welcome Jimmy Gary Jr. Jimmy, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate you having me.
Well, Jimmy, I'm just, I don't know if this was on purpose, and I didn't even think about this before we went live, but
Uh,
did you like dress with the wall so that you were showing your fraternity colors? Because it looks like you have on purple and the glow behind. I was like, oh, really?
you
He
know, you
did
know,
that.
in the basement, the walls are gold anyway. So I'm like, they're just throwing a purple shirt, and it's gonna go.
That was just, yeah, I was like, wow,
It just
that's pretty
happened.
cool.
When that's how it is with the Omegas. Things just happens like that sometimes.
I bet you got on them gold boots too.
Not, you
Not
just gave
tonight.
an idea. Not tonight. Not tonight. You can't see them anyway.
Right.
If I had them, you couldn't see them. But
That is so true. Now, I'm just curious. I know
mhm,
that you're based up in New York. How have you spent this time? I know that now, in the last few weeks, a lot of states around the country are somewhat getting, I won't say back to normal, but they're opening in phases. How
mhm.
have you spent, though, the time during the pandemic when we were all at home?
In the house, uh, in the basement, just reading, just reflecting, trying to understand, like, is this real? One of those things. And also taking this time to really create and to dig deep inside myself and fix some of the things that I felt I need to fix with myself for my overall personal joy. So it was really a reflective part for me. I got a chance to have a lot of Zoom meetings, tons
Oh,
of Zoom
yeah.
meetings, with fellow actors. It's amazing how the artist community comes together. And it was like, I was having like 2 or 3 meetings a week with just actors. We read scripts and, we discuss the arts and try to understand, what's the future is going to look like. And, that really worked for me because at the time I had a surgery. I had a minor surgery that I had to go to a short-term rehabilitation center for, and I was there recovering. And once I was inside the place, the pandemic hit, like it was there, and it
Oh,
hit
wow.
hard. Yeah, and the day I was actually getting out, I had a fever, and so I was like, I'm not going home to my family. I want to, see what's going on. And so I went into isolation, and that's when a lot of artists just started coming through. It was like, hey, we're having a Zoom meeting, we're reading scripts, we're doing this and doing that. And so I just stayed involved. With just staying active, mentally active, because once this ends, then everybody's really going to be crazy. It's like, how a dog is tied up to a tree for so long, and once you let it go, everybody's just going to.
Yeah.
So my imagination is it's going to be like that. So it's just taking that time out and really getting close to family. And you know it's amazing how you know you really don't know much about your own kids sometimes because we're running so much. But once this pandemic happened and we were isolated in the house, playing board games, you find out little things that you would just overlook. So it's really great for family time. That time was well needed, I believe, for everyone. I think everyone had a time to either create something, get rid of negative stuff, and just move. Yeah.
Now, before you got involved in entertainment, you played ball. What
Mhm.
position did you play, and how did playing ball kind of help you get into entertainment, if at all?
Oh well, I played football. It runs in my family. It's like we've had about 3 or 4 guys from my family actually get an opportunity to play in the NFL, let alone get Division I scholarships. And we have a crew of guys coming up right now. you know, um, One of my nephews, Evan Neal, is like one of the top offensive lineman at Alabama, and very proud of him. Myself, I played running back.
Okay.
I was a running back, so I took a lot of hits. Everyone was after me, gunning for me. Um, and football kind of related to acting for me because it has the same values. You on the football field you have a play, in acting you have a play. So as a group you learn together. You build camaraderie. You build friendships. You get to know each other on a deeper level to where you don't have a choice but to go fight for that person because you built such a strong bond over that course of time of rehearsing or practice. Like on the football field, they say, sweat, blood, and tears together. And in the acting world, it's the same thing. Rehearsals are brutal. Like
Yeah.
they're very brutal, and you have to really want to be there in order to get through it. And you have to actually love it. So that transition was okay for me, because I just took some of those same qualities, and just transferred them over into television, film, and theater.
Now, one of your first major roles was landing on a soap opera. As a matter of fact, All My Children. And oh my goodness,
Yes,
there are so many of us that love All My Children. I mean, that even whether you watch All My Children or not, most people are definitely familiar with Erica Kane. So
I
I'm just
know.
curious, how does soap operas differ from primetime television or being on a film set?
There's really no difference when it comes to acting because at the end of the day, it's about living.
Hmm.
And even in soap operas, these actors are living. Things are probably shot differently, whether it's a three camera setup, one camera, two camera setup. But as far as for the artist standpoint, it's the same. You just want to bring your true uh your true self to the character, and bring that character to life so you can live truthfully. Um, One thing I noticed about soap operas though is like it's real brutal. The lines may change like right before it's your time. You going in, they say, "Oh, Mr. Garrett, here's the new pages." You're like, "New pages? I haven't even gotten the first pages down yet." But it's like that, so you don't have time to think. It's so fast paced. Which television is the same way, but it's kind of laid back a little bit. When I was on Orange Is the New Black, I was on that for 3 seasons. I played CO Rikerson, and I love the set. I mean, just being on set, we had such a wonderful time. You had your own space as far as trailers, or they would put you when we would shoot in Rockland County. They would put us in like these little dormitory rooms, and so we had our own space, and it was very relaxing, but you had to stay on point. You really had to stay on point because anything can happen. They move quickly. Television, film is a little more laid back. It's a longer process, but the acting, the making of film, television, and as far as soap operas, TV shows, and film, the filming of it probably differs in a way, but as far as the creative process, it's all the same. You know, it's all the same. But it's nothing like live theater. I love that with a passion.
Now, yeah, you work on stage as well. What's been your favorite play that you've done thus far?
That's a tough question. That's very tough because as an artist, the play starts out and you're thinking you're the worst actor ever, and you're thinking that this play is going to be garbage, you know. But by the time you get through, the middle of the rehearsals, you're like, oh my God, it's coming together. It's coming together. Um, excuse me. I've played some characters. I think my favorite play. That's hard for me because I did Black Wall Street. I did a soldier's play. I played Peg Leg in Black Wall Street. I played um, I played C.J. Memphis with Negro Ensemble in a soldier's play. The Whale Ship Essex based on Moby Dick. I did that at the Hudson Guild Theater. You know, I've done musical theaters. I've done 42nd, I take it back, not 42nd Street. I've done Oklahoma, Unthinkable Molly Brown, A Christmas Carol. I've done so much theater, you know. But I would say the darkest place I had to go as an actor to play a character, which I would say, which isn't my favorite, but I can say that because actors want juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I played Nat Turner
Okay.
at Ma'afa. And being my father was a minister, I'm a preacher's kid, and having that opportunity to step into a character like Nat Turner, who was also a minister, gave me a great excuse to read the Bible again. Like I got to read it. I have to know it. I have to know what this man is talking about. I have to know what he's thinking. I have to know. And I have to know why he made these decisions. And so I really that play was a lot of work for me, um, internally, because I had to pull up a lot of emotions and go places that I've never gone before. But Soldiers Play, CJ Memphis, that character, I had to teach myself how to play the guitar, and I
Mm-hmm.
wrote the music for the songs during the play, which, that was a big accomplishment. So that's a hard question, but if I narrowed it down to two, it'd be Nat Turner and Soldier's Play. And Black
Okay.
Wall Street, God, that's difficult. It's challenging.
Okay. You threw three together. Now,
Three,
you
okay.
also were a part of the landmark limited series When They
Hmm.
See Us. As a matter of fact, I
Yes.
remember when I got to your episode, I was like, "Oh, there is Jimmy." That that was a very moving um, production, and so I'm
Yeah.
just curious, what was it like to be a part of something like that that's based on a true story that changed those young men's lives forever and the lives of their family?
Uh, you know, I'm so grateful. That's all I can say. The way it happened, I'm just so grateful, to be a part of history, to be a part of something as iconic as When They See Us. Ava DuVernay she's a queen. She just did such good justice to those guys with this film. But um, I had such a wonderful experience with When They See Us and how all that came about. I live in the Bronx, and they had some flyers going around about a movie coming. And I took the flyer and I was like, okay, well, they're looking for houses to shoot in. I'm like, okay. Then people in my neighborhood, they know I'm an actor. They're like, I see you on TV and stuff. So anything with film, they're bringing it to me. Jimmy, look, just showing love. And about 2 or 3 days later, my agent called and was like, I have an audition for you. And so I went down to the audition and I auditioned, and he said, okay, good job. The director's coming in um, next week. So, we want you to come back and you can audition with the director. So I'm like, okay. I had no idea what this film was. I had no idea. I walk into the audition and it's Ava DuVernay is there. And I did my auditions, and she was like, wow, wow. She was like, so tell me about you, Jimmy. She was like, well, tell me about yourself. So, I ran it down to her, and I went home after that. After I got in my car, I was sitting down like, wow, what just happened? It was like a
Right.
dream. When you're in it, you're like, wow, what just happened? So I went home, back to the Bronx. 3 hours later, my doorbell rings. I go to open my door. It's Ava DuVernay
At your door?
at my door with the
Wow.
producers, Barry and the crew and everybody, right? And so she came. They knocked on the door, and when I opened the door, she was like, "Didn't I just see you a few hours ago?" I'm like, "Yes, you did." She was like, "This is your house?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "We want to shoot in your house. We want to shoot there. We want to film." So, and she was like, and you got the part. I just want to let you know you got the part. Did your agent call you yet? So that was a crazy experience. And it was just like divine, because in my neighborhood, I'm always telling, my community, you know, you know, there's opportunities out there. I take pictures, let me help you get into the game, and into acting, you can express yourself. So it was great because a lot of the young men and women, they got a chance to be extras, and when they see us, they're going to be, their images is going to live forever, and they're just so happy. Did a lot for the community, and the production was amazing. It was just an amazing experience. For anyone, especially for them to do that here in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, because I'm grateful that I work as an actor, and I have an opportunity to work as an actor. But there are people out here that, they have backgrounds, criminal backgrounds, where, they want to do the right thing, but they can't because that's holding them back. Is stopping them, or it's so hard they just don't have the guidance. So to introduce them to film and television, I actually inspired a lot of them. They're like into crew now, they set design. I was like, here, find and talk to this person. They'll give you the information. They had like this article calling me the mayor. I'm like, nah, I'm not the mayor of Mott Haven. I'm just showing love to my community and giving back because, you know, I'm just grateful. And that's what we're supposed to do, you know?
Now, you speaking of community, you mentioned that you live in the Bronx. I know the New York City area was hit really hard by the
Mm.
pandemic. How has it been for you getting out there, now and being a part of the community? Have you been able to give back right now?
Yes, I have. I just think that, especially this time, like I have masks. I go out and I see someone without a mask. I give them a mask. And sometimes, we want to get back to normal so fast. Sometimes we forget. So, to wear a mask, you get down the street and you're like, oh, I forgot my mask and have to go back. And so I don't let it, I put my mask on and I go out and keep my distance. If somebody want to, do an elbow hit or a fist bump or something like that, that's fine. Washing your hands and things like that. But I don't stop. I go out there and I talk to those guys and, see, what's on their mind, and also, share with them information that I find out. If a job or something comes up, helping them, I can't stop. My daddy was a preacher, so I'm always going to be out there trying to help people.
Now, you are a member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Hmm.
How has brotherhood impacted your life?
Uh, you know, um, everyone in this world want to feel like they have somebody that's going to go with them anywhere they need to go. And I just think that it's an amazing feeling to be part of an organization where we strive on building our communities, um, especially with the youth. Uh, you know, the things that the frat is trying to accomplish in neighborhoods. Um, as far as myself, also here in the Bronx, because I wear my nail out, and all the kids, all the even the gang members, like, hey man, I know they were. Woo, 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 woo. I said, hey, you better watch that, watch it. But they show much respect, and so it kind of gives it the brotherhood gives me uh, a voice, an extra voice beside my voice that I have now. It's just an extra layer of respect in what I do. And in just knowing that at any moment, one of your fraternity brothers is just a phone call away, whenever you need to come together for something, you can pull things together. It's a base, um, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, they say, man, black people, they not together. I'm like, I don't know what you thinking and where you've been living, but I know within the Divine Nine, there's a whole lot of black people that are together, and it stretches across the world. We have
Yeah,
a stretch.
definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. In talking about some of the success that you've reached, it's
Mhm.
hard to reach the level of success that you have without overcoming obstacles, and I mentioned that, it was a struggle for you before you got your first job. You were actually living in your car that you didn't even pay a whole lot of money for. And
I
I have,
know.
I know as a kid, we,
It
we
was
joke, we
crazy,
joke in our house about that,
I
about
know.
the cheap cars that we've had, but how did you
Yeah.
overcome that?
I look back on that and I'm like, God, I was just so stupid. But I guess that was just passion, my passion. Just buying a car for $100, just knowing I was going to make it, just knowing I'm going to make it. I just know it. There's no if,
What kind
ands,
of car
buts
was that
about
that
it.
you bought for $100?
It was broken down on the side of the road, and the guy
Okay.
didn't want to deal with it, and so I bought it for $100, and I had somebody come out and fix it, and it ran for like 2 days, and it broke down again, and it stayed there. I don't even know where the car is now. Actually, I don't even remember. After I booked all my children, that was enough to get me, to another level in life. But I would just tell people always believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself more than anyone else in this world because you're going to, especially when you're down. That's when you're going to hear you should just quit. You should just stop, or you should just go do something else. You're good at this. Go do that, or go do that. You know, people going to say that when you're down because they don't understand that when you're down, that's when the blessings is. That's when they come because that's when you're at your most humble. That's when you know you have to work harder. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you start to realize, look, this is survival now for me. And
Oh
so
yeah.
that's that turning around point, and we have to continue to self motivate ourselves because we can be living in positive environments, negative environments. We can go to places that's negative, and it can stump your motivation down in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Or if
Oh
you're
yeah.
sitting in your basement or sitting in your room and you're down and out because you got so much to do, or you can't work as diligent as you want to work on your craft because of life. You sit down and you just dig deep into self motivation. That's when you start directing yourself. You start talking to yourself, telling yourself, you've been in tougher places than this. Come on, get up. I mean, we have to become our own voice to ourselves. And that's the beginning of self motivating yourself to get back up. And I think if any artist, anybody remembers that, nothing can stop them.
Well, we have a question from one of our loyal viewers. Edwin is on the
Mhm.
screen. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, the first big out this was a bronze. What do you love about the community? What would you want to change? Okay, yeah. I've lived in thank you, Edwin, first of all, but I've lived in all the boroughs since I've been here in New York, and I can tell you like this. I absolutely love the Bronx also. I love it here. I love it. And uh the community here in the Bronx where I live is amazing. I'm talking about it reminds me of I'm a country boy. I grew up in Okeechobee, Florida. You know, it's like certain things, that you do down south. People, Southerners say, you don't do that in New York. Don't do that in New York because they'll get you or they'll do this and that. It's just so false. My whole neighborhood is family. It's like it's family. Like if somebody hit my car, somebody in the neighborhood gonna say, look, nope, that's Jimmy car, and they do it for everybody, you know. Um, it's just so much love here in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, that I wouldn't want to leave this place. The Bronx is just filled like that. I get anytime I even think about leaving New York City, especially when this pandemic was happening. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wanted to leave New York City. But the Bronx is just it's a soft place in my heart for the Bronx.
Now, you talk about the Bronx being family. Speaking of family, you have a family member who is a very well known lawyer, a gentleman that I've seen over the years as I covered events in the Raleigh Durham area, and
Mm,
that is Mr. Willie Gary. So,
yeah.
there is going to be a film coming up pretty
Hmm.
soon. that will deal with one of the cases that he tried some years ago. Talk a little bit
That-
about that, whatever
yeah,
you can share. I know you can't share all
that's
the
what I
deets.
hear. That's what I hear. I hear there's a story. I know it's on IMDb, so y'all can go check it out if you want to. But it's in the making. The story's in the making. I've been blessed to, grow up in my life with some major black leaders and men. My father is a minister, and my uncle Willie as a lawyer, and my uncle Freddie is top of his game in the insurance industry. So as far as the business aspect of it and leadership, I've been blessed with some powerful men in my family, and Willie has just been, I mean, amazing in his field of study. I uh, I remember when I used to work at the law firm. I would work at the law firm during the summers, and I would go to trials with him and things like that. And one of the funniest stories, it's not funny now, but it was. I mean, it's funny now, but it wasn't back then. We were in trial, and there was a case, and Willie was arguing the case, and the other attorney had he objected to something to Willie, and asked to talk to the judge. And so the attorney's like, "Oh, Your Honor, you gonna let this boy bring this stuff in here?" And Willie was like, "Boy, he called me boy, man, I'll put you out." It got like that in the courtroom. Like it was like really routed up. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you uh try as many cases as Willie, a law firm being that successful, you probably seen some crazy stuff in the courtroom. But that's when, like, I'm like, whoa, it's real up in here. I'm like, a lawyer call another lawyer, a black lawyer, a boy. Like, you gonna let this boy bring this in here? And the reason it happened, I believe, was because Willie, I love about him because he works hard, and he loves his toys, and he loves things, nice things. Willie told the judge, he was like, "Your Honor, I'd rather we can finish this now. That'd be good because I got to fly out somewhere, tonight. I'm getting on my, I got a private jet, so I'm gonna fly out." So I guess the other lawyer kind of got a little hot because of that. But then that whole altercation broke out. But it was cool. It was like bang, 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 order in the court, order in the court. I mean, those are just some amazing stories. That's how he fights. Like, Willie is just, he's he's such a winner in his profession. And as far as the case, what the movie is about, um, it's Biloxi, Mississippi. And it's about a $500 million case that Willie won for a wonderful man. May he rest in peace. Jeremiah O'Keefe was the former mayor of Biloxi, Mississippi. And basically, Jeremiah O'Keefe and a lawyer named Hal Dawkins called on Willie the Big Dog to come in because some people out of Canada, funded by a company out of Japan, was trying to buy up all the funeral homes in America and monopolize the industry. And the case was like really big, like on a federal level, like other things. Like, the case was so powerful that Willie had to win this case, because if he would have lost this case, these people would have been able to sue the federal government. It was something like that deep. And Willie just bought it home and got a $500 million verdict. And this is a black man, somebody that's, sat down just like you and I, looked in the book and studied this. And, so growing up with people like that, my dad building two huge churches, Evergreen First Baptist Church and St. Matthew. So I grew up with leaders in my family, and I'm grateful for that. And so I'm looking forward to this film coming out one day soon.
Well, I'll be on the lookout too, and maybe I can audition for it too. You got a question from a soror out of
Uh-oh.
Miami.
Miami. What is some advice that you would give people who want to have a career change? I would say, thank you, Cassandra. I would say just go with it. You never know if it's for you or if it's not for you unless you try it and go with it. They say there's two things in life. They say you work to make your money, and then you do something you love for your soul. And so eventually what you're doing for your soul will take the place of the money that you're making on a job that you're working to make money. Long story short, you're going to start making more money than you can never imagine when you find out what your love and passion is, and you start doing it because it nourishes your soul. So jump on it, go with it. And if you fall, get back up and keep going.
Now, I'm going to ask a follow-up question to Cassandra's question. Thanks for being on the broadcast tonight, Cassandra. Um, how did you know when you pivoted from professional athlete to acting? How did you know acting was for you?
Because I played Baby Jesus when I was little in the
Okay.
community play. And I played Baby Jesus. My mama, my sister was married. She still tried to act like she my mama. My sister, she like, boy, I played your mama in the Baby Jesus play, community play. And it was
Oh
my
my
first
goodness.
time, right? It was my first time ever doing a play or anything like that. Even though I grew up with a big family, it was six of us, and we had instruments and we had a lot of fun. We was the Partridge Family at one point. Trying to do so. We've done it all, and we had a community play, and I played the role of Baby Jesus, and the director was like, go around and touch this person, and they're going to get up and do this, and that person's going to do something, then stand in the middle of the stage and open your arms up wide. And I did that, and everyone went crazy. They just clapped, and I was like, I love this. I
Hmm.
love it. I love it. I love it. And that's why I was bit by the bug. And my sister still has that program. And so every now and then she
Wow.
would, yeah, yeah. It was hanging on the closet door for years, probably 40 some, a lot of years it's been hanging there
Mm.
now.
All right.
Yeah.
Edwin has another question for you. Edwin is one of our loyal viewers as well.
Edwin, thank you. Production is starting back. Yeah. And I'm ready to go. I think we're I think we're in the right time right now for our stories. Our stories need to be told. I think that in order to understand the African American people, you have to see our stories. You have to hear them. You have to see them. You have to try to understand us because as artists, that's what we do. We go out there and create work to change people so they can see things like I was sitting here thinking like I don't know if you're familiar with you probably just familiar with Flying West by Pearl Cleage,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Like I did that play in college, so we recently had a reading of it, a Zoom reading. So I had like a white lady playing, Miss Leah, and to for her to read that, we were just reading it. For her to read that, she couldn't help but attach to those emotions, and it totally changed her because she couldn't believe that that's what our ancestors went through. Like she felt that. And that's what she told me afterwards, like to read, to go through these emotions. And she was just like, oh my God, oh my God. And so I think that we could change lives with art, change people's souls.
Oh, definitely. Got another question from Edwin.
Edwin says something from Florida. I'm a Gator fan. Edwin,
Uh-oh.
I do not dislike the Gators, but this is my top three. First of all, I have to go with West Virginia because that's who I played for, right? That's my alma mater right there. Second, I have to go with right now Alabama because my nephew is playing there, and I have a cousin playing at Virginia Tech. But as far as Florida schools, I would say my top choice is University of Miami because my family are big Miami Hurricane fans, and
Okay.
I could have went to Miami, but I chose to go to West Virginia. They recruited me, and it's a lot of fun in Miami. My cousin Cleveland Gary played there for the Hurricanes. My brother-in-law Jimmy Jones played there, so you know. Sorry, but I'm not that big on the Gators. I like Gators. My third pick. Roll Tide. Woo, woo, woo.
Now, as we wind this down, I do have a question for you
Okay.
in terms of what you think this particular time, you were saying, now is a time for our stories to be told. In addition to the pandemic, we had this amazing display of people standing up for racial equality in the wake of the death of George Floyd. So, what do you think the long-term legacy would be, especially for our members of the Divine Nine?
Well, I think I think it really doesn't change. I think it's just evolved. So we have to evolve. I think it's for the better. I think we can reach more people by with this. I mean, there's so many Zoom meetings going on now. And I mean, if you think of communicating with people, like, you can talk to a mass amount of people just through a Zoom meeting or through a phone conference. Uh, as far as with, the Divine Nine, I would say one thing that I feel that the Divine Nine should strive more towards is working together. I feel like we all, got into fraternities and sororities for community and, to help build a community. And I see a lot of projects where it's just separate, it's separate fingers working on one hand. And I would like to see that whole hand come together at some point and we all work together uh, towards our goals, because at the end of the day we have to go back and and really take a deep look at why fraternities and sororities were created, and we have to stick to that foundation of what all of our founders sat in those rooms and created these organizations, why they did that. We can't lose focus for the hype. We can't use them to benefit ourselves, and we have to really stick to the course. And I think we have a better opportunity to do that because we have, it's a new normal now, and new technologies are coming out. We just have to utilize it, those technologies.
You have another question from Leslie. Leslie is an author.
So please work. Do you have any book in mind by any author that you like to see a movie or play? You know what? I'm glad you said that because I just read Flying West with Pearl Cleage. Like, she's so underrated. Like, it's crazy. Like, her work is just so underrated. I would like to see Flying West made into a movie.
Mm,
Flying West,
yeah.
because they deal with issues that are now, especially with women. These are strong, powerful women. It's got domestic violence in it. It's got women sticking together, rituals in it. It's got strong men in it also. It's got characters in it who deal with the fact that they are mulattoes, trying to wave on each side, black and white, and feel like they're received or wanted,
Hmm.
and so it has a lot of elements in it. And at the end of the day, it also has the justice system in it, the courts, the leadership of the women. One of the characters, she's writing laws for the city, trying to build the city. And I really think like Flying West is kind of a for me, it's like a foundation. It's like before Black Wall Street, it was Flying West. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those things. The way I understand it, from reading Flying West, is like the beginning of the you know the major city that these African Americans and Indians built out west that was thriving. Like, Flying West is like the blueprint of one of these cities being built, starting with one of the characters who's writing the blueprint. While the perpetrators, not the perpetrators, but I forgot what they call them, but basically gentrification happening. They want to come in to buy all the land up where they're trying to build their city for the black community. So I would love to see Pearl Cleage in the film. Your story is very inspirational and you have a very positive spirit. Thank you for sharing your stories. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Wherever we go, we have to shed light. Light beats darkness all the time. So, I'm really appreciative of your comments, and I'm happy to be on this show.
Well, I am happy that you took the time out of your schedule to hang out with us here at the Angela Ray Show, Jimmy. I am looking forward to this movie. Now I got to go do some more research too.
I know. Do your
Um,
research.
yeah, I
Find
got
out.
to do.
Everybody, go look up. Read about this film. I mean, it's articles out there. The New Yorker, the Guardian. This case was big. People just don't know it was big, big case about a film. Somebody said something. I didn't read it, but something about a film version. But yeah, check it out. Check the case out. Just read. It's the O'Keefe, uh, um, Jeremiah O'Keefe is the
Okay.
case. Yeah.
Okay,
Fear
I'll
among
have to look
people is the
that up.
plaintiff. Yeah.
and I'll have to
Yeah.
go yeah, do some
Versus the
research in
low end
Biloxi.
group.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
if it depends on the way I'm driving to New Orleans, sometimes I actually go through Biloxi because I think when I was coming back from New Orleans working on Queen Sugar, I'd stopped in Biloxi, didn't realize how close the interstate was to the ocean. I just took a chance. I was like, it says the ocean is close. And I got off. Oh my gosh, it was just absolutely beautiful. Just to park the
Ah,
car for a few minutes, take in the ocean, and then get right on
yeah.
the interstate. It's like less than 10 minutes. The ocean front is right there on the interstate in Biloxi. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm gonna do some research on that one and find out like where they might be filming it. If they're filming it in New Orleans, Mississippi, Atlanta, it's probably gonna be filmed in the South somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. I wonder how they're going to, it's like it's new restrictions going. So,
Oh yeah,
it's going to be, yeah, we don't know what can happen now. Like,
right.
really, we don't know, I guess we'll find out when we all receive it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy. Well, thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us. Your Instagram is at the bottom of the screen. Is there another way that you would like people to connect with you?
Well, Instagram is fine at Jimmy Garrett Jr. Or you can Facebook, J Garrett New York on Facebook, and you can follow me. And you know what? Go to IMDb. Follow me on IMDb, International Movie Database. Jimmy Garrett Jr. You can see all my projects, all the work that I've done, and all the work that's gonna happen. You know, uh, and projects that I'm working on now. And it just warms me that I can come out here, share some love, and just really be a positive voice amongst all the other stuff that's going on. You
Yeah,
know,
because it's a lot.
oceanfront is everything. Oceanfront is everything.
That it is. All right,
I'm a
Jimmy. Well,
Scorpio. I love it. I
oh,
love the
you do.
water. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Well, again, thank you for being on the show and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Angela, thank you. And I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will. All right. Good
All right.
night.
All right. Good night.
Well, that's it for this Tuesday edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening.